Hi guys and welcome, my name is Jude and today I am here to do a review of A Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. It's going to be a spoiler review because honestly the only... Cat? He's okay. So, as I was saying, it's going to be a spoiler review because the only thoughts that I have to share that are non-spoilery are basically I liked it, you should read it. Assuming you read the first one and that you liked it, of course. So without further ado, let me get started with my thoughts on this book, spoilery, remember. I picked up this book over a year ago and I was reading it and I got 60% into the story and I was enjoying it so much. I was enjoying it so much that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop reading it and never pick it up again. Does this happen to any of you that you're like enjoying a story so much that you're just like, you know what? I'm not gonna continue and it makes no sense in your head? Because that happens to me, that I'm really enjoying something and then I just drop it. So fast forward 1 year later after dropping this book and I get a big craving of some fantasy and I remember that I had this one unfinished, therefore I pick it up again. And I had to start all over because I didn't really remember what had happened during the story. I only remembered that Kale and Selena's relationship was going great. The funny thing is though that when I did catch up to where I had left it previously, I realized that I was 1 chapter away from Kale's and Selena's relationship going to hell. My dog has a cough, I'm sorry if you can hear that. Literally, the next chapter after I had left my previous bookmark, it's when Nehemia, I don't know how to pronounce her name, when she gets totally like butchered. Which was so hard to read about and I mean the act in itself was really awful and losing her as a character was pretty bad, but all of the events that just happened afterwards was just so devastating and I hated seeing Selena suffer so much and also watch her relationship with Kale crumble because I had really been shipping them. I really liked them as a couple and I feel that I got so little of it, you know, like it was a good chunk in the book but it was just barely a book, you know. I wanted to see them forever in the next chapters in the series. I wasn't expecting Sarah J. Maas to just be like, oh, it's gonna be a short fling. I thought they fit really well together, that they understood each other pretty well, and it was sad. It was really sad. I mean, I get that what Kale did was really bad, but it was still really sad. But that happened, and I was quite in shock, but I was even more in shock at the ending of this book. I did get spoiled on the fact that Selena was the lost princess. It never once crossed my mind. I should have seen it coming. I didn't. But I got spoiled on that, which I wasn't really mad about. What I was super taken aback by and had not gotten actually spoiled on was that she was a fairy of sorts. I have no idea of how this fact totally just like went flying through my head and I never actually considered it. I mean, I knew that the Throne of Glass world dealt with magic and there was mention of fairies like far away, but I never considered it to be a fairy story. And the ending turned out to be exactly that, a fairy story. And I personally am not the biggest fan of fairies, so I was like, yeah. And I got worried there that I was going to drop this book, but I already had purchased the third one, so I started reading that one right after this one, and I got into it. And now I'm digging the whole fairy thing, but you know, I will talk about the third one in a separate video. So yeah, I don't know if it was just me, but I never saw the turn of events that happened in this book. So it turned out to be just so surprising and I was like, ugh. Because everything that went down, the substantial parts of the book happened after the 60% page mark in the book. And I just find it so funny that I left it right as everything was about to go down. I can't believe that happened. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I love Selena as a character. I think she's, you know, it gets to a point where she's very selfish or manipulative or just not the best person ever, but I think that's what makes her a badass and what makes her cool. I love the way Sarah J. Maas makes world building. She doesn't show everything to you at once, but you can slowly start to build it up in your head, and exploring more of the world has been fascinating. I was quite lost, however, on the geography of things, and I wasn't sure of what Adderland was or Terracin was or what it used to be, and it was confusing at first, but there's a wiki fan page of this whole series where you can find everything. So if you ever get lost in the series, you can jump over there, though I suggest proceeding with caution because there are a shit ton of spoilers in that page, which I read before starting the third book and I was like, ow. Though the spoilers didn't inhibit my ability to enjoy it at all. It's just such an enjoyable, fun series. It's a series that I would get here at night, late from work, and I'd be like, I'm craving it and I want to read it, and it just flows by and it's fun. It has issues though. There's a lot of issues. I found more issues on Heir of Fire, but there's things in the storytelling as a whole that I'm just like, Sarah J. Maas totally just pulled this out of her ass, like out of nowhere. Things that I would read through and I'd be like, someone didn't really think this through. Plot holes that would just be awkwardly filled, or at least I felt that they were being like awkwardly patched up. Like, oh, I hadn't realized that this thing from the first book didn't match up with the second one, so I'm just gonna like cover it up. Subtle. She also does this with characters that like appear out of nowhere that had zero relevance in the first book, so that they suddenly have a lot of relevance forward into the story. Like Mort, the door knock that talks, it didn't talk in the first book, and then in the second one the thing is like, oh, it's just that I didn't trust you enough to talk. Yeah. Which just felt like a lazy solution to explain certain things of the plot. I would have loved to see Sarah J. Maas just explore things differently, less lazily, or have the story way more thought out in her head. I have no idea what her writing process is. I'm not even gonna pretend like it's easy or I know how it has to be done, but I would expect, for example, Brandon Sanderson, he makes the most complex stories I've ever read in the realm of fantasy. And he ties everything neatly in every single book, series as a whole, completely. And I'm like, this guy has a vision. He knows what's going to happen in the first, second, third, fourth, sixth, 10th, 20th book of the series. He knows what's going to happen. Whereas I feel like Sarah J. Maas is just sort of knows what happens and is improvising throughout the novels. So I'm not gonna lie, that did get on my nerves at times, noticing that, because it takes me out of the story and I'm like, but still, I really enjoy it. No one said this was perfect, but it's fun. It's so much fun. I have no idea of how many stars I gave it on Goodreads. Here it is. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, which is the same rating that I gave Throne of Glass, and I think I enjoyed Crown of Midnight a little bit more than the first one. And I also loved Heir of Fire a lot more than this one, so I just feel that this series gets better and better, and I cannot wait to make my review of this one and share my thoughts with you guys. But as far as Crown of Midnight goes, those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know in the comment section down below if you've read the series, if you like it. I'm hoping you like it as much as me. I love it. If you have a review up, I'd love to check it out or read it. Just link it down below to Goodreads, to the YouTubes, to your blog. And I will see you guys in the next video.